guys, welcome back to See Mini Mom, and if you are new here, welcome to my kitchen. Today I am sharing with you 3 dessert ideas, and the ingredients came from Dollar Tree, so stay tuned. All right, you guys, Easter is just around the corner, spring is on the way, and I have wanted to do a dessert video to give you some ideas for maybe some of your family gatherings or the activities that you'll be going to here in the spring. And I thought it would be fun to make some Dollar Tree desserts with Dollar Tree ingredients. Now, the ingredients for these desserts can be picked up at regular grocery stores. I feel like with Dollar Tree, it's more about convenience. And I don't know about you guys, but I have sometimes been in the position where I have been told at the last minute that we have company coming over, or maybe I've just remembered at the last minute that I am supposed to take a treat or a dessert to a gathering somewhere. And I've had to get it together really quickly, you know, so the convenience of being able to just run into a Dollar Tree and grab a few ingredients that I can turn into a dessert is really appealing to me, especially since I try to avoid the grocery store at peak times, and after work or in the evenings is a very busy time in supermarkets, and I try to stay out of the grocery store during that time. Dollar Trees are typically smaller. It's easier for me to get in and out quickly, so I just thought that these might be some ideas for somebody who needs the convenience of that. So let's dive into the video and I'll show you the ingredients that I'm using and how I am turning those into some treats that are both delicious and that look really nice as well. Here is a snapshot of the things that I picked up at my Dollar Tree. There were a few things that I was counting on them having that they did not have, and I'll talk about that as we jump into the recipes. And here are a few things that I'm using from home: eggs, vegetable oil, and butter. They did have eggs and vegetable oil at my Dollar Tree. I just opted not to purchase those things because I already had some at home. They did not have individual sticks of butter at my Dollar Tree. They only had margarine, so I opted just to use butter from home. We are going to make a brownie trifle, and I think this is a really pretty dish as well as something really delicious. So these are the ingredients that we are going to use. I have some Cool Whip, I have some candy bars. I like Butterfingers for this because I feel like they crumble really easily. And then we have some pudding. I was hoping that my Dollar Tree would have pudding mix and I could make the pudding from scratch, but they did not have pudding mix. So we're gonna have to just make do with these, and I think that they will be fine. And then I have a brownie mix, which I'm going to make according to the package directions. It just calls for eggs, water, and vegetable oil. So that's actually the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna mix this up and throw it into the oven, and then I will show you how we're gonna put the trifle together. I am ready to put my brownie candy bar trifle together, and I actually have a trifle dish. This was given to me by my mother-in-law. In fact, this recipe is inspired by something that she makes. She uses Heath bar instead of Butterfinger, and actual like pudding from pudding mix instead of the snack cups, but it's very similar. If you do not have a trifle dish, I'm sure just a regular glass bowl or even a glass pan, you could just make a single layer of everything instead of layering it up like I'm doing, but I just think it looks really pretty when you do it this way. So I have my brownies here, and once these were done cooking, I let them cool down, and then I used a fork and just twisted it all over the pan so that it would make like brownie crumbles. I have 2 containers of Cool Whip, and I have let these sit on the counter for a little while so that they would thaw out a little bit and not be frozen. I have my 8 little pudding cups, and then I have my Butterfingers here, which I've already crushed. You can put these into a food processor if you want, or if you're like me and you don't want to get your food processor out. I hate having to get that thing out and then clean it. I just put these into a plastic bag and then take a rolling pin to them, and voila, we have candy bar crumbs. So I'm just going to start with a layer of the brownies on the bottom, then a layer of the pudding, and you just kind of have to spread that out across. And this would be so much easier if I was using pudding that I just made in a bowl, but I'll have to just scrape it out of the little cups here. Then just a little sprinkling of the candy bar crumbs here, and then a layer of Cool Whip. And you definitely want to use Cool Whip or a generic form of it. Regular whipped cream, or the kind that comes in a can, or even some of the plant-based ones, they won't hold up. They'll render water, or they'll get real runny, and then the dish won't hold up without using a Cool Whip or a Cool Whip-like product. And then you just repeat the process. Does anybody else, when you hear the word trifle, think of Friends? The episode of Friends where Rachel tries to make the trifle and the pages of the recipe get stuck together, and then Joey's eating it later and he's like, what's not to like? Custard? Good. Jam? Good. Beef? good. Leave me a comment if you know what I'm talking about. And for this last layer, I really want the candy bars to be on top for aesthetic purposes. So I'm gonna put the candy bars on top instead of underneath the Cool Whip. And there you have it. Doesn't that look nice? I am just going to lightly cover that with a little foil, a foil tint, and put it in the refrigerator until we are ready to serve it. But look at how pretty that looks. Next, I am going to make a cookies and cream ice cream pie, and these are the ingredients that I'm going to use. I have 2 small packages of Oreo cookies. These are the 4 packs that have 2 cookies per pack. I would have just purchased an Oreo-like cookie, like if there's a Dollar Tree brand of an Oreo cookie, but they did not have any. This was my only choice. So I have 2 of these little 4 packs here of the mini Oreo cookies. I have 1 10-ounce package of marshmallows, and they actually had the jet puffed, the name brand marshmallows there for $1. I have 2 small packages of Frosted Flakes. These are little 3.5-ounce packages, and there's 2.5 cups in each package, so this is gonna be about 5 cups of cereal. I would have much preferred to use Rice Krispies, but they did not have any kind of Rice Krispie or even just a plain Cheerio to use in this, so we're gonna try it with the Frosted Flakes. Have half a stick of butter, 1 tub of Cool Whip, some chocolate syrup, and then 2 little pints of vanilla ice cream. So the first thing that I'm going to do is make the crust for this ice cream pie. I'm going to take 1 package of Oreos, take them out of the packages and crush them up and add them to my Frosted Flakes. In a pot, I'm going to melt my butter and add my marshmallows until I've made sort of a marshmallow cream like you would make when you're making Rice Krispie treats. And then I will add my crushed up cookies and Frosted Flakes to those, and I will press them into a square baking dish, or you could use a pie plate as well. And then I'll show you how I'm going to make the rest of this. I'm ready to assemble my little ice cream pie now. So I have my 2 little pints of vanilla ice cream. They have been softening. I've let them sit out for about half an hour or so. And the same goes for my Cool Whip. And then I have my other package of Oreos that I have already crushed up here in this bowl. So I'm gonna spread the ice cream over the top of the crust here that I made from the cornflakes and the marshmallows and the Oreos. And then I will top it with some Cool Whip. I will drizzle a little bit of chocolate syrup over the top, and then I will sprinkle it with the Oreo crumbs here. You could probably leave out the chocolate syrup. I just thought it would add a little extra touch, and we will use it for other things because the kids like to make chocolate milk. You could also use a bigger pan for this. I used a small square one because I wanted it to be like big, thick pieces of ice cream cake, but you could spread it out across a bigger pan and make them be like smaller, shorter pieces if you wanted. Now I'm just gonna cover this and pop it in the freezer until we are ready to serve it. And when I am ready to serve it, I will take it out and let it sit on the counter for probably 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how long it's been in the freezer, because it will have to thaw just a little bit in order to be able to slice into it and serve it. But doesn't that look yummy? Next, I am making a 7-Up cake, and these are the ingredients that I'm going to start with, and then we'll talk about a glaze, and I also plan to make a berry compote to go along with this. So I have 3/4 of a cup of vegetable oil, 4 eggs, a yellow cake mix, and this is the standard 15.25 ounce size of yellow cake mix. And then I will also be using 3/4 of a cup of Sprite or 7-Up, so I won't need this whole can. I'll have to measure it out after I pour the oil into the mix. So I will mix all of these ingredients together. I will pour them into a well-greased bump pan, and I'm going to bake that at 325 until it's done. I will probably check it at around 40 minutes and then keep checking it every 5 minutes until it's done. Now, a lot of the recipes that I'm seeing for this kind of cake on Pinterest call for a box of pudding mix as well. And like I said, my Dollar Tree did not have pudding mixes. So if you have a pudding mix, I think that would make this cake even better, especially like a lemon pudding mix, or maybe a vanilla one, but a lemon would go really well with the soda, but we're gonna try it without it since I couldn't find it at Dollar Tree. To go along with this 7-Up bundt cake that I'm making, I'm going to make like a berry spread, jam, compote, whatever you wanna call it. So I got some frozen strawberries at the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to put these in a little pot on the stove. I'm gonna put a splash of my Sprite that I have left, just a little bit, and probably about a 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm gonna bring that to a simmer and then just let it simmer for a little bit. I might also add just a little bit of cornstarch to kind of thicken it up. And then I'll just let that cool down so that I can serve it alongside that. But it's just kind of a fly by the seat of my pants type of thing that I'm trying. So we'll see how it turns out. My cake is out of the oven. You can see it cooling on the counter behind me. And now I'm going to make a little glaze for that cake just from powdered sugar and the Sprite that I have left. I just am gonna add a little bit at a time until the glaze is the consistency that I want. And this glaze will be very sweet because it's basically just sugar. So a little bit will go a long way on the cake. I don't need a lot, just enough to kind of drizzle over the top of the cake. Scariest part right here, working with a bundt cake. Ooh, boy. Beautiful. Now, I personally think this would be really pretty with just some fresh berries in the center, like maybe some fresh chopped strawberries or blueberries or raspberries in the center and maybe placed along the top. So I was just plating some of the cake up for a thumbnail picture because I really feel like it's prettier whenever I slice it and I actually put it all together with some of the berry jam stuff and a little bit of Cool Whip. And this turned out really good. I'm actually very pleased with it. The cake is really moist, and the little icing glaze is just enough sweetness added to it. And I kind of like the tart of the berries. And I'll add, I think this would be better if you chill it. Go ahead and let the cake cool and then chill everything for a little bit and then add, you know, the toppings to it. I think that would make it even better. All right, you guys, that's what I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that that gives you some ideas and some inspiration, and I will be sure to check in again with another video very soon. Bye.